And I've been one where I've been trying to talk Yankee fans off the ledge a little bit, right? It's early April. It's not October. It's not August. It's not September. Give this team a little bit of time. Now, not going to change that vibe. Not going to change that theme. But there are games during the course of a season that are concerning. There just are. There are games that bother you. And last night's game and last night's loss to Toronto down in Florida, it really bothered me. I got to be honest with you. I mean, Jameson Taillon, I know that there's a ramp up. I get it. He gave you last night, he threw 84 pitches in 3+ innings of work. How many innings are they going to ask this bullpen to go? Whether it be the ground ball double plays, how many times? 14 so far this year, 3 last night. Whether it be running into outs, Gary Sanchez, top half of the 8th inning, where the hell are you going? After the pass ball wild pitch, as Stan takes third, and Gary Sanchez gets caught up between first and second base, eventually gets tagged out by Bichette with the tying run up at the plate. At that point in time, it's a 6-3 game. Abreu comes in, he gives up a run, makes it 7-3. That ends up being your final. There are games that bother you. And last night's game, as a Yankee fan, it bothered me watching it because it's sloppy. It's not crisp. I don't know. I don't want to say that they look lifeless because they don't. Because whenever a team is, and they are 5-6, it's hard to say. Well, you know what? When you're winning, I mean, you look like you're full of, blank and vinegar, right? When you're losing, you look lifeless. So the Yankees don't look particularly good. There are games though that bother you. And last night's game, it bothered me. I'm listening to John and Susan last night, and John saying, well, if you thought that this Yankee bullpen was one of the best in baseball, you're right. Yeah, you're right. But you know what? They're being abused right now because the starting rotation outside of Garrett Cole can't get themselves out of the 4th or 5th inning. I mean, what do you expect from Corey Kluber in his next start here? I mean, you've gotten Jameson Taillon. He's pitching to an under 8 ERA. These are your number 2 and 3 starters. You already saw Domingo Germán, who had an unbelievable spring. He already got sent down. Devi Garcia didn't make the team and he was the minor league player of spring training, and he got that award at the end of spring. Great. When we saw Devi last year, Jordan Montgomery, everyone talks about the upside, Maggie, but you look at this rotation, and what is this they are going to gas this bullpen. I don't care who you have. I mean, there is going to be a rotation of arms. Guys' arms are going to fall off the way that they're being used night in and night out. They're giving them little to no length, and I get it's April. I understand, but Jameson Taillon last night was brutal. I mean, that way, brutal with a capital B. What leads you to believe that all of a sudden with his revamped delivery that he's going to be better next start? Is how big of a ramp up, how big of a workup is this going to be? You and I talked about Corey Kluber, and the write-up saying the velocity is down over the course of the spring. Well, don't worry about that. You know what? He's not throwing, at max velocity over the course of the spring. How is Kluber? I mean, you and I made the boneheaded decision to make him the pick of the day and pick the under. Basically, he was out of the game before we all were off the, an hour after we were off the air, he was out of the game. I mean, it's just amazing when you think about where this team is. And last night bothered me. It really did. Whether it be the double plays, whether it be Sanchez, whether it be another bad start from a starter outside of Garrett Cole, it all bothered me. It really did. I was a frustrated Yankee fan watching that game last night. And I listen, it's 11 games. I get it. I understand it. And where you still have 151 games to go in this regular season, Maggie. Last night was a tough pill to swallow. It really was. It was a tough pill to swallow because the Yankees were sloppy and bad in so many different ways last night. It was an impossible watch, and it was a frustrating watch sitting there and watching it.
Well, both things can be true. You can think that the Yankees will figure this out, and you can think they're going to get back on track and they'll start hitting home runs, which obviously would give them a lot of confidence, and that the starters will start finding themselves and going deeper into games. And you could also be frustrated by what you saw last night. Both things can be true because you also can't sweep it under the rug when the team doesn't seem to be playing with a lot of confidence right now. And, the thing about Jameson Taillon, and I think we were all going to give him a long grace period here, what he's coming back from the second Tommy John surgery. I think maybe he deserves it. He definitely deserves it. But one of the things that was a little bit surprising to me is that after the game, when he was asked about, he was getting ahead in counts and a lot of the damage was being done when he already had 2 strikes against a hitter, and he said, I don't have the answers right now. And that kind of stuff, while I appreciate the honesty, but saying I don't have the answers right now, it's like, because you're going to need to find the answers because the Yankees are actually going to be relying on you quite a bit. And you know what? This Corey Kluber start today actually ends up being pretty big here in terms of an April start, not just for the Yankees to try to get something going here, salvage this series, and hopefully get a win in this series against the Toronto Blue Jays, but also to be able to show that he's kind of working through some things, right? And that Corey Kluber is going to be the guy that can be dependable for this Yankee team. So sneaky kind of becomes a pretty big start here for Kluber. I'm sure he's probably feeling a fair bit of pressure today, I would imagine. And they have to be able to win series, and especially when you have Garrett Cole who starts off the series with that win, you want to be able to finish it off for the Yankees. So I think that a big part of this is going to be Kluber today. And again, like, you know, you're going to give the Yankees time to settle in terms of their offense. But it's so obvious, Moose, that when they're not hitting home runs, they're just not
They can't score.
Finding it in other ways. It's almost like they could really use like Brandon Nimmo right now. You know, like the Yankees don't have that person.
No, they leave him stranded at third every time he gets on base.
Only if Gary's on the base. No, but the thing, like, we joke around, but that was a terrible base running gaffe by Gary Sanchez. And, you know, you hate to pile on, but it was. And even if Giancarlo Stanton is hesitant, like, you still have to be responsible and control what you can control, and he should have never left for whatever. We know that was bad.
Well,
Jack
Maggie,
Curry on the postgame saying a high school team wouldn't do that. I mean, he's right. Jack's
where's
right.
He going? Maggie, where's he going? I mean, you
second.
battled. Yeah, I understand that. I get that. I know he's going to, but there's no need. There's no need. At that stage, you know what? You've presented yourself in this team, in this game, a moment. As bad as you've looked up until that point in time, the tying run is up at home plate.
Yeah, you got to let Hicks do his thing.
They're a home run hitting team. Yeah. What are you doing if you're Gary Sanchez? You cannot get caught up there looking and being hesitant going to second base. He has no speed whatsoever. If you're not gunning it for second at the word go, keep your rear end on first base.
Yeah, it was a bad error. And then you saw later on a gaffe. I mean, you saw later on when he's got Abreu on the mound and they end up giving up that RBI sac fly, even though Judge had a phenomenal throw from right. But you saw that even Gary then was not even on the same page with Abreu, and it felt like maybe it could just kind of bled over. I don't know whose fault it was, who didn't get the sign. It's weird when pitchers and catchers get crossed up on signs when nobody's on base, but whatever. It was just weird, and Abreu ends up walking the guy, and then they end up scoring. But it was just odd because it did seem like it bled in a little bit. And, you know, you're right to be frustrated. I think Yankee fans are right to be frustrated, even if you feel like it's still April and you know it's still early and you're going to see them get out of this slump and they are going to beat up on bad pitching. Oh, by the way, Ross Stripling could be a guy you could beat up on today. The guy's pitching to an over 7 ERA, you know, not the all-star that he was with the LA Dodgers. Maybe today's a day where you can really have the bats come alive and maybe you start to get something going here because it just doesn't seem like a very confident group at the plate right now.
No, it doesn't. And if they're not hitting home runs, they're having trouble generating runs. And, you know, even LeMahieu, even though he's hitting a tad under 300 now, he's gotten off to a little bit of a struggling start. We mentioned that yesterday. You know, their number 2 starters got an ERA under 6, right? Their number 3 starter, as I mentioned, has got an ERA under 8. Their 5 starter, where he broke camp as their number 5 starter, has been sent down to the minor leagues. And then you've got Jordan Montgomery, who's given you, 2 representable starts. But we mentioned Jameson Taillon, Maggie, and you gave the alarming quote after the game. Jameson Taillon, it's not a matter of just figuring out. Give me a little length. I mean, in 2 starts, he's given this team 8 1/3 innings of work, and you're a starting pitcher. I mean, this is Major League Baseball here. I mean, you can't give me 10 innings. I mean, you've given me, 4+, 3+ in your 2 starts, and I get you've got the revamped delivery. I mean, and then it's the trickle-down effect. Yes, the bullpen has been great. Yes, guys have stepped up. Darren O'Day has been fantastic. Michael King has been great. All of these guys have been great, but the very fact is that you cannot continue to work these guys at this kind of a rate. You really can. And you mentioned the importance of Kluber. Who the hell knows what you're going to get this afternoon from Corey Kluber? I don't know. But I will tell you this. He's got to figure it. He doesn't have the stuff any longer that he once did in Cleveland. And, he's a thinking man's pitcher. Everyone said, oh, he'll figure it out. Well, today's the day to start figuring something out because you've got to give this bullpen and give this team, give them a competitive start. I'm not looking for shutout baseball. Can you give me 5-6 innings today? Is it too much to ask from Corey Kluber down there in Dunedin to give me a competitive start, keep the team in the game, and give me 5-6 innings and not be out of the game in the third or fourth inning? Is that too much to ask from Corey Kluber this afternoon?
I don't know. I don't know. I hope not, but I do want to understand, and I do understand intuitively that he does, he also is a guy who's coming off an injury. It's going to be, yes.
He's given him 6 innings in 2 starts, Maggie. Mike King had a relief appearance that went 6 innings.
I get it, and he's the number 2 starter. I get it, but normally it would be Sevy who's the number 2 starter. He's not there right now, so he has to be the number 2 starter. But is he right now he's clearly not in mid-season form, and it's going to be a while, I think, until we see that. And today would be nice to be able to give them a little bit more length, and quite frankly, to just give them a little bit more confidence. And I think it is a little confidence issue. It was funny because John Boy, Jimmy, big fan. Yeah. We love him. He's been on the show several times. He was a mystery guest back when we did that bit, which was fun. And he said something last night on Twitter that I hadn't been thinking about, which is he said that he thought the team looked joyless. And listen, you're losing. You lose a game like that, you're not going to be all smiles and stuff, but it was kind of an interesting take from someone who does, just like us, covers the team every single day, talks about the team every single day. We're not obviously with the team, but it's just, it was an interesting, I hadn't thought of that. Is there a little bit of that spark that's missing? Talk about the pulse, talk about the energy level. We've talked about all that with the Yankees. Is there a little bit of that playing loose that they just are missing right now?
Yeah, I mean, it would be strange if they were joking around and laughing when they're losing games and they're 5-6.
But they're still only 5-6. Good. It's not like they're 2-8.
No,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, you're right. You're not wrong about that. And yeah, I don't. Do I see them jumping around? Does it look like a joyful group? No, I mean, it doesn't look like a joyful group. I wouldn't say that they're tight. Maggie, they look bad. I mean, there are games this year where the Yankees have looked bad, and last night was a frustrating game to watch. It just was. It really, and I'm usually more calm, cool, collected when I look at certain things. Give guys an opportunity. Jameson Taillon, your number 2 and number 3 starters, where they've given you 14 innings and 4 starts. I mean, it's just terrible. I mean, it just is when you look at it. I don't know what you're going to get from Corey Kluber. You can only ask so much from this bullpen. The alarming nature, Ryu was very, very good. They went up against a really good starting pitcher last night as well. Totally. And when they're not driving the ball over the fence, they have trouble scoring runs. And then when they have an opportunity late, just a crack, a sliver, there's Gary Sanchez having a base-running blunder where he gets thrown out running between first and second on a pitch that was bounced into home as Stan hesitated before he went to third. It was nauseating to watch. It really was. And I don't know what to get. I have no expectations. You're right. They should be able to knock around Stripling this afternoon, but do you have any confidence that Corey Kluber today is going to give them a representable start where he's going to pitch really, really well in a minor league ballpark? I don't. I mean, I really don't. I'd love to see it. Do I have confidence? No. The Yankees better hit this afternoon because I don't think Kluber, he has not shown you that he's a competitive pitcher right now, and we're in the ramp-up stage here in April. What would lead you to believe that Corey Kluber is going to be anywhere particularly good today for the Yankees?
Well, I know I'm probably not going to bet the under again. I think that would probably be a mistake. But did you notice one other thing?
That was a bad L on us for Friday, Maggie. That was a bad one. That was a tough one. That was a bad
Anyway,
one.
turn the page, Moose. But the thing is, did you notice this last night too? And I didn't really notice it as much when the Blue Jays were playing in Buffalo last year as I felt like I noticed it last night. And maybe I was listening to the game wearing headphones, so maybe that on the MLB.TV app, so maybe that was a little bit different. You can hear everything that the crowd is saying and the dugout. It was crystal clear to me, and I don't remember that in the minor league park in Buffalo when they were playing, being able to hear everything so crystal clear. I mean, last night, first of all, that ump was taking it on the chin. He was getting abused by the Yankees, rightfully so, and also by the crowd. I mean, it was just he was being pelted with insults the entire game, and you could just hear everything so crystal clear, and it was a lot of head in the game, pal. A lot of those, just minor league chatter coming from the crowd. I don't know if you noticed that.
I wasn't listening with headphones, so I didn't hear everything, but I did hear, especially with Frazier. How about when Clint got
Frazier.
the call straight? Oh my God, he was
not
screaming
happy.
As he was going.
DJ not happy, and he rarely shows emotion like that.
No, you're right. The strike zone was all over the place, but I'm not. And yes, you could hear a lot more, and probably a lot more just given the cozy confines of a minor league ballpark down there in Dunedin. Yeah, I didn't pick up on it as much up in Buffalo. Fair point, but I also wasn't sitting there with my headphones on listening to it as you were, breaking it down like the Zapruder film.
Dude, I was like an NSA person, listening in on phone calls.
Andrew, take a listen to this. Did you hear this?
No, I was trying to be nice because my husband's asleep, and I had to watch the game after it had ended because parenting. And yeah, so I was like, I was in a van parked outside, on a surveillance. I'm like, what did he just say? Rewind.